Joe and I kept watching Dhanush in these clips, we started thinking, well, why are we just looking at him as a reference? Why don't we actually ask him if he wants to be in the movie?
Do we owe it to your children that you said yes to being in The Gray Man?
No, just owe it to yourselves.
Limitations are always like very good for creativity because it forces you to become inventive within the restrictions of the limitations. So,
koimoi.com.
I suppose it's only fair to start by asking all three of you, were you familiar with each other's work before you met for The Gray Man, between the Russos and Dhanush? Were you familiar with Dhanush's work, and Dhanush, were you familiar with theirs?
Of course, everybody knows them.
yeah, and we actually became familiar with Dhanush's work as we were sort of developing The Gray Man. We do a lot of research in terms of what we can do with the action, what we're aspiring to do, and we have a wonderful creative team and a stunt performing team that we work with as we develop those ideas. And many people on that team would start to show us videos of Dhanush over time, and sort of as examples of really, really fascinating action and cool ideas to do. And as Joe and I kept watching Dhanush in these clips, we started thinking, well, why are we just looking at him as a reference? Why don't we actually ask him if he wants to be in the movie? And to our great surprise and pleasure, he did. So we had a fantastic experience with him.
Dhanush, were there specific films of theirs that you were a fan of?
I mean, of course, Infinity War. I mean, and if you have kids at home, you will know the Russos, right?
Of course.
So my kids are big fans. We've all gone to the theaters and watched such, the true meaning of larger than life experience, and it's amazing to have had an opportunity to, work with them. It's great.
Yeah, sure.
Do we owe it to your children that you said yes to being in The Gray Man?
No, just owe it to yourselves.
To Anthony and Joe, when you go in to make a new action film, right after you make two of the biggest superhero films ever, how do you approach that, specifically the action? One would imagine that you've pretty much done everything that you've wanted to, done everything that you had in your mind. How do you approach a new action film when you get off those films?
Well, this movie was an incredible opportunity for us because, look, we've been working in the realm of fantasy and science fiction with the Marvel films, and there's different rules to how those universes work, and I mean, look, that's part of the great fun of making those movies, is you're dealing with a fantasy realm. I mean, the challenge for us on this movie was going from those movies where like so much was possible. You can go to outer space, you can go to other dimensions. All of a sudden now we're dealing with something that more resembles our actual real world. And of course, even though the story is a heightened story, it still tries to behave according to the laws of physics and sort of in a way that's recognizable to us as something sort of plausibly real in our world. So having to deal with those different rules, those are limitations, but limitations are always like very good for creativity because it forces you to become inventive within the restrictions of the limitations. So that was the great thrill for Joe and I, was just to be able to deal with a different set of rules, a different world that we were building in this movie.
Right. Joe, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think no capes, no shields in this one, as Ann said. So. It's exciting to us to work with material that has a global scale to it, that allows us to bring in actors like Dhanush from around the world. We see storytelling as a binding element, something that brings people together, brings community together. So we like telling stories that bring as many people in together as possible, and that's a priority for us. We love genre. We think lots of people like genre.
Sure.
They like to watch it. It's propulsive, and this is a big, fun, spectacle genre movie.
Dhanush, the need to impress the kids aside, what sold you on doing this film?
I mean, I've told this before. It's the name. It's the Russos. It's the brand Russos, and the character when they describe me, Avik's son, and it's a very easy yes, right? It's a very no-brainer. You just have to use this opportunity that was gifted to you and then make the most of it.